Welcome back to Factorio Space Age. Today we're gonna go over a build that's finally possible with Factorio 2.0, which is making a logistic train network that will act just like a robot port network and like fully vanilla, right? Everything here is just vanilla, no mods. Like in the past, you have mods like logistic train network (LTN), right, which allow us to do similar thing. I won't go over detail about everything, how it works. I'm gonna show how you build it and the basic configuration you can do it. And if people want to know like details on how, like what issues you had before and how I solve each one of them, I can do a later video going deeper into it. So if you just want the blueprints, will be a link for the forum where you can find the blueprint, and I'm gonna demonstrate real fast how I use it. So I have here just a test map that I'm going with. This is a very small train with only one cargo just for speed, right? And what you are seeing is basically the train will go to all the stations eventually, depends on when they are open or not, right? So this station here is open, and if we come here, you see that this is increasing in counting, right? So in summary, in very simple terms, the only thing this is doing is controlling if the station is enabled or not, and then controlling the priority of the station based on how long it's been waiting for a train. Also, there are some slight edge cases that you have to handle, like when there is a train already coming to the station. So you see that this one, there is nothing connected here. This one, there is like a reading, so this was like a test purpose. And same from the other stations, like we need to know if there is a train coming or not, so we open and close the request. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to the blueprints. So in the forum will be two blueprints, basically two sections, right? To provider, which will be same as your provider chests, and oops, I didn't mean to do that. And then your requester will be similar to your requester chests. And in each of one of them, you have two options. One that is the entire basic station. So if you don't have any stations ready, you can use this. So you just place it down, and it will ask what item are you transporting. Let's say I'm transporting barrels. Then you ask the number of wagons. You can see like I have this ready for 4 wagons. You might want 2 wagons, like 8 wagons, whatever number you have. The wagon capacity is how many stacks you can fit in each wagon, right? By default in vanilla is 40, but you can have mod that add like more capacity to your wagon, or you can even reduce it, right? Like I have on the test tank that I showed, I was having only 1. You can have like 10, whatever. So everything is a default on like 4 trains, 40, and then the number of boxes you have, right? So you can count here like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes per wagon, right? So this is important to do the calculations. So, but you don't need to have 4. You can have just 1 for each train. You can go like 12, right? So and then you do the loading on the other side as well. As long as you understand the number of boxes has to be the same for the wagons. And lastly, the priority delay is what drives the priority increase. You really don't want to go low in this number because there is a limit on the priority. So let me just place this, and this will basically, let me just get rid of this flashing icon that are really annoying. Placing this here. Okay. So here, if I deselect this, right? So priority is 50 by default. And let's say I want to put this on 999999. And it seems that it works, right? But if you check it, it's 255. That's the limit. So if you go too low on your delay, it will increase the priority too fast, which will go above 255, which will mainly means all your station will have the max priority, which will just broke everything, because if everything has the max priority, the train will default to the closest, which is what we are trying to avoid. So for the request station, this is the sample with the already configured trains, right? But if you, let's say you want to have your own train, you don't want to 4 wagons or whatever, you can easily just remove all this and configure as you want. And then on this constant combinator here, just need to follow the instructions, right? So W is the number of wagons, 4, then C, wagon capacity, 40, right? Number of box, 6. And the last item is the item that we're looking on this station. Everything is calculated based on this. So the other option in the blueprint will be the station which is only the top. And this one is if you really don't care about this and you want to have your own layout, right, with your own load balance. It's required to have a load balance on your station. You can have whatever load balance you think is best, but I want to explain why it's required to have the load balance. Because the station will be open only when there is a request and the station is able to fulfill a train. So if you don't have a load balance, what will happen? You can have like all these chests like fully load, which will be enough to fill the train. Then the train will come here, sit and wait, but those chests are empty, right? Because you didn't load balance. So the items are here. If you just sum the items, you are able to put everything into the train. But since this is empty, the train will sit here forever and nothing will happen. So you have to have some sort of load balancer. Use mine, use whatever other load balance you find. Mine is not super optimized. It's good enough to work. So that's required, right? So let's put the other one just to show. I'm gonna do the same thing I did. So let's just select barrels here. Okay. So the big difference here, you see that it's down section. Right? This is what drives the load balance for me. And the only important thing for this entire thing to work is the A signal inputting this combinator here. So the A signal is what have the logic to enable and disable the stations, right? So if you look here, A has to be greater or equal with N, which in this case is maximum capacity of the train. So your A needs to be your total on your boxes, right? So if you're using mine, you don't need to do anything. It's already outputting, you can see here, right? It's coming from this combinator with A. But if you have your own logic with your own boxes, and your own how you call it, load balance, what you need to do is make sure you feed into this guy the total available items in your loading station. The easiest way to get the A signal would be to just come here, select each plus 0 and output each way. And then you connect this on the green signal to this, right? To this combinator here. And that's literally how all you need to do, right? So how you get your A signal is up to you, right? Since you are doing your own load balance, you probably already have some logic going over your driving your inserters, right? So just use that. That would be basically it. For the unloading station, which is the requester in this case, right, is 99% the same thing, right? So we're gonna just place it here, and we will ask the same things, right? So what items are you using? Of course, you always need to use only one item, right? The number of wagons, the capacity of the wagon, the number of boxes, the delay, and there is like a one extra item here, the minimum stock divider. I'm gonna go over it real fast. So same thing, you have one with the unloader balance. Like, this is not super needed, but if you don't do a balance, again, your train will be here, everything here will be empty, and then will be like the last wagon here will have like 3 items, because this box have some items in it. So you prevent your train from doing something else because you are not doing the balance. I like this design because then I can feed into a 4-lane balancing wheel easily, but you can use whatever you want, right? So just look here, right? So this is the requester station and the configuration, right? The constant combinator, and then you have the load balancer driving, then the math is done here, and then you have the circuit controlling the station. The unloading station, right? So your requester, exactly the same thing, right? Constant combinator, the math that's driving everything, the load balancer, the combinator that receives your capacity on this station, receiving the signal A. So it's the same thing, right? So if you don't want this, you can just delete all this and you feed into your A whatever value you want. The divider. What is that divider? The divider is this extra math combinator here, right? If you look here, there is no divider on this one. And what this is basically telling is this L number here, right? So your minimum limit. It's basically getting the capacity of a train and divided by this number. What this does is say, okay, so when this station is below this number, or when I'm below 1/3 of a train, if you set L to 3, 1/3 of a train, it will enable the station only when you are below 1/3 of the train, right? Of course, you can use other numbers, like you can divide by 4, you can divide by 10. Like, the higher the number, the lower the stock will be, right? You can see now the M number is 160, and if you really don't always want this station full 100% of the time, you just divide by 1, then it's your entire train capacity, right? So if you go one item below the train capacity, it will enable the station. This is optional, right? So you don't really need this. If you just want a constant number, all you need to do is get rid of this, get yourself a constant combinator, and output in the M signal, whatever is your minimum, right? So let's say my minimum will be 1,000, and then you feed into the green signal. That's it. One thing, let me go over let me go over this first. One thing, you see that I'm using this selector combinator. This selector combinator here is somewhat late-tech. Well, depends on what you consider late-tech. But compared to the normal circuit, right? So you have to search a lot of stuff here. You have to unlock all the stack, blue science, right? All the way to get here. Circuit network is literally 5 research from the beginning of the game. So if you don't have the select combinator yet, right, to do the math here, the only thing matters for the selector combinator is it's getting the stack size of your item, right? So let's say I don't have it yet. The only thing you need to do is, again, connect your constant combinator with any signal you want. Doesn't really matter the signal. I'm gonna put T here as any number, and you connect on the green signal. That's all you need, right? So if I have a 20 stack, oops, I deleted too much stuff here. I deleted the connection with the let me do this first. Okay, now it's better. Let's put this guy back here. Let's put the T there with 20 and connect with the green cable. Now it's doing the math. So my M output is 320. Let's say my stack size is only 10. Now it's 160, right? So what drives the calculation is the signal you pass into the green signal, and then C is reading only the green signal. The signal itself doesn't matter, can be anything. So, and that is the same, right? For the loader station, the unloader, your requester, your provider. And lastly, you also have the version where there is only the station itself, and you feed your own balancer and your own way to calculate your minimum stock there. What am I doing? Just selecting barrels here. Let's get something else. Let's get like normal iron. And yeah, that will be the basic blueprint. Quite easy, it's just plop it down, right? So how does it work? Let me go down here with this one that's actually proper configured, right? So on the loading station, on the not loading, the unloading station, or your provider station, requester, if I can talk. Let me just place it here. It'll be easy to explain. It is checking if your total in the station is below your minimum stock, right? And then there is this C here. This is very important. This is the count number of the trains coming to the station, because we don't want to keep sending a signal, hey, I need more items, when there is already a train coming here. That's what's closed the request, right? So you see, the total is less than whatever number you are looking for your minimum, and there is no train coming to the station, so then it will open the station. The radar is what drives the logistic about it. So when a station is request something, it will send a signal on the one item out of the grid, just to have power here. It will send a signal to the radar network to whatever item you are missing. So if I get a radar anywhere, and if I get a power pole here real fast, just show on the red symbol, you can see them requesting one barrel, right? So if I remove this radar from here, now that's not showing a barrel anymore. So this is what drives the network. So the number on the red wire on the radar is how many stations are requesting in whatever item they are requesting. So if you have more than one station request this, let's say you have another station also requesting barrels. If I can find it. And you're gonna see that here is 2, right? Which means there's 2 stations requesting the items. So this is important because we don't want to have all the stations receiving trains, because just one station is requesting. So let's say you have, like here, I have this station loading red ammo. I also have this station loading red ammo, and you might have 10 stations loading red ammo. And down here I have some stations that are consuming red ammo, like this one. So let's say this one is open a request. You don't want 10 trains to go to all your provider stations that are making red ammo, right? So that's why I'm controlling the number of requests with the radar network. And that's why it's important to have the reading signal of the how many trains are going to the station. So that's basically it for the requester station, right? The station that is unloading the items. Let's go to the actual loading station, or your provider, right? So your provider station, let me do here my provider for barrels, is basically the same thing, right? But here we are reading from the radar network if we have any request for whatever item, and then we can see that we're requesting two stations are requesting the barrels in this case. And what makes this works with any number of stations as a number of trains is that when a train, this train count here, goes to this station, so the train can be all the way down here, right? I can show you this one here if I had. No, I don't have it anymore. But anyway, So when there is a train coming here already, what I do is get, okay, there is a train coming, then just send -1 signal to the network. So this counteract the request that we have, right? So this one will send a positive number, one, hey, I need some item. And then this one, as soon as the train routes to it, it will send the same item but as a negative, which will counteract. And the other stations will be closed now. So you don't need to worry about how your train routing to all your possible stations. That's what prevents it from happening. And that is basically the entire thing, right? So of course this is only the loading and unloading. You need to actually have your train network, which will be driving basically by interrupt signals. So you need to have, let me go to this one that's actually manual. I left this for showing, right? So you need to make your train group. I call it item pickup. You can call your group whatever you want. And the only station you're gonna add here to the schedule will be your provider station, right? So you can see all the provider stations have the same name, and that's because here we are just have a go to the provider station. So any station that's open, the train will go there. That's basically how it works. And that's the only thing we have. And then everything else is done with the interrupt signal, right? So the first one will be the fuel. You can use this fuel on any locomotion, which is this one, right? When the fuel in any locomotion, and then you click here and select fuel parameter is less than, and then you need to be aware of what fuel are you using. If you're just using normal coal or solid fuel or carbon or wood or whatever, that's normal in the game, right? You can say either maybe less than 20 or less than 50. Each locomotive have 3 slots, right? So you need to be aware of this, because in my case I'm using rocket fuel, so they don't stack. So if I go below 2 stack, or means when the locomotive has only 1 rocket fuel left, then it will go to the station. So you're probably going to have this below 30, or depends on how big your station is, you go to 50 for any other normal fuel, right? And your target will be your fueling station, whatever fuel station you have that's made to fuel your trains. The condition will, I like to have full fuel, right? You can also use the same condition here, fuel on locomotive, which will be this one, fuel all locomotives, and then say, okay, when I'm greater than whatever number I like, I don't know, 100, that also works, right? So I like to have this, because then it will won't leave the station when it's actually full of fuel, right? So that's the fuel. You need to make sure your fueling station is robust enough to get all the trains going there, right? Don't do a tiny fueling station that has only one entrance and one exit. Then there will be a train there, and then it wants to leave, but there is a train trying to enter, and then everything will jam to a stop. So make sure your fueling station is big enough. Of course, that depends on how many trains you want to have. If you have a network with only 1 train, that would be hardly any problem, right? But this design is made so you can have from 1 single train, and then 1 single train will attend your entire network. Of course, it will be slow because it needs to go in all the stations, and it will go in the priority order, so it will take forever. You can also have, like I have here, 3 trains running, 1 per station, 2 per station. Like you decide how many trains you want. Anyway, just make sure your fueling station is robust enough to keep up with the demand. So second is your go-to dock. I call it go-to dock. You can call whatever you want. It's mainly telling the train, hey, go to the dock wait station. So I call it dock, I can call wait station, call whatever. And then the same applies here, right? So you need to make sure it's robust enough to have multiple trains here, because that's where they will be when none of these stations are open, right? So your network is basically idling, you're not doing anything, you're like half of everything are working because you are missing something, and then so half the base is not really doing anything until you get that resource. This is where the train will be. They will be just sitting here waiting. So to go to the dock real fast, make sure you select this allow interrupt for the fuel. Go to the dock, same thing, allow interrupt, and then you're gonna select destination full or no path. It's really literally this name, destination full or no path. So when the train doesn't know what to do or it can't get to the destination, it will come here. And then your condition, I like to have 4 or 5 seconds time pass. That's, you can like 10, depending on how big your network is, you can have like 10 seconds. It's just come here to the wait station and then hey, just sit there for some time and wait a little bit. What this does, when it finish waiting, it will try to go to any provider station. If there is any open, it will go, and then if it's not, it will just sit here and wait for more whatever amount you have. You can see this one open and closing because it's doing exactly that, and now it's leaving. So this is the basic for getting fuel and going to the wait station. And the last one will be what I call the brain, right? Which actually decides where the train needs to go after it go to any provider station and fill up with items. Which is pretty simple, really. What you have, you don't check the interrupting here because you don't want this for loading. You select full cargo inventory. I always select full cargo inventory so my train doesn't leave if the cargo is not full. And yes, it works if you limit your train count, not train count, your cargo wagon. You see I have this limit to only one. It recognizes that it's full. So don't worry, if you are limiting your train, it will work just fine. So what you want to have is, first, make sure your cargo wagon is full. So what will happen is the train will go to the provider station and wait until it's full, which is this condition. When this condition is fulfilled, now this one will read, okay, the cargo is full, right? And then this one here is just so you can grab the item, right? So you're gonna say and item is greater than 0, which will always be the case because it's full. To get this, it's really easy. It's just here, item count, and then you select here on this special icon for the item, and you just say, hey, if this is greater than 0. That's how you get this condition. This is what does the magic, right? Because this special item will be used to go to whatever unloader station you have, your requester in this case. So important thing here, when you are going to select your destination station, you want to have first all your requester station will have this pattern on the name. You don't need to follow my pattern, you can use whatever pattern you want, as long as you have the icon of the item in the name, and everything else in the name has to be exactly the same. So I find easy enough just to have the icon and an unloader in the front, because then you look at this, oh, okay, so this is unloading mech armor, this is unload ammo, this is unloading artillery wagon, this is unloading artillery shells. So anyways, so when you are making your station, right, so you have to have this here, and this should be exact. What I mean by exact is I have a space here, right? So this is really hard to see, very easy to miss. So if you have a space here, when you are building the interrupt signal, you need to have the space there. If you don't have a space here, don't put a space there. If you put a dash here, put a dash there, and they need to be the same, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So you're going to your brain, you're going to add the destination station. You're not gonna click on anything, because then would be only going to that station. That's not what you want. You want to select the wildcard, which is here, the parameter, and then give the exact same name you had, right? So in my case, I have a space and then uploader, and then you press enter. That's very important. Otherwise, it will try to make a name of the station that doesn't exist, and it does do nothing. So make sure your pattern, whatever pattern you're using, will match this. And that's basically that's what drives the trains. Basically what this is doing, it's saying, hey, what item do you have? Let me go to a station that has this symbol finishing with unloader. And that's how the train knows which station it should go. So let me grab one that's going, let's grab this one here. See that it's going to the provider. There is nothing on it. And as soon as it gets the item, then you see it's going to the temporary name of the item, like icon of the item, and then unloader. So, and this temporary station that pops up is driven by this interrupt signal here. And that's how you have to it. So any new train you want to add to the network, you just place your train with whatever configuration you have. In my case, my configuration is this, right? I can add a few here, and then the only thing I need to do is put the train in the group, right? So item pickup, and set it to automatic, and it will go to work. You see it's instantly going to the fuel station because it's the first, and it's very important your fuel station be the first. And now you're gonna go to work. So those trains are taking all the work, so it's going to the dock and gonna wait for it to have like an open job that it can take. And it got the job, and it's coming here, right? So the way I like to do it, and I keep an eye on my docking station and see how many trains are here waiting in average. And if I have 2 trains waiting, I'm fine. When I starting to not see any train waiting, it's the signal for me to add more trains to the station. So you can slowly and gradually create your network and add trains to it. And that's basically it. So feel free to comment on the forum page if you find anything weird. Also, if you want like a deep dive on how this was built, you'll see how this is station here that I did for testing and finding out the problems and edge cases when you are just controlling the priority and the like enable and then priority. If you just control those two, it's not quite work. There's some edge cases and all that. So let me know if you want a deep dive on the signaling and everything. Alright, that should be everything you need to know to use this and that. Thank you for watching. I hope this is helpful, and see you later. Bye bye.